Thank you all for being here. Ms. Solomon, I want to be sure I understand your testimony. Did I understand you to testify that anti-Semitism is worse under the Trump administration?
Senator, thank you for your question.
You don't have to thank me.
Okay.
Your best thanks is to answer.
Okay, well, I'll tell you that anti-Semitism has been rising, especially since the 2017
But has the Trump
Charlottesville attack.
administration caused that? Is that your testimony?
I wouldn't say the Trump administration has caused anti-Semitism. Has there been an increase since Trump has entered office? Yes.
Do you see a causal connection there?
Yes.
Why?
Trump has highlighted and platformed neo-Nazis and white supremacists.
Okay. Mr. I can't see that far.
Racklin.
Mr. Racklin, I understood you to say that in answer to Senator Durbin's question, the spending reductions, reducing the federal budget would increase anti-Semitism. Isn't that what you said?
No, I did not. I said that the constant threats to cut money to the Office for Civil Rights and the Department of Education prevents the federal government from adequately investigating anti-Semitism and other hate crimes on college campuses.
So you think one way to stop anti-Semitism is to give people more money? Is that right?
I think.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Have you ever watched something so outrageous that you can't decide whether to laugh, scream, or throw your phone across the room? Well, that's exactly what happened when Senator John Kennedy took on a panel of so-called experts in a Senate hearing on anti-Semitism in higher education. This wasn't just another boring government hearing. This was a masterclass in exposing hypocrisy. Kennedy grilled these witnesses like a world-class chef, slicing through their talking points and serving up one brutal reality check after another. If you're sick of the double standards on college campuses, hit that like button right now. And if you're new here, subscribe and turn on notifications because we are not letting this story slide. Now, let's get into it.
I think one of the ways is to actually fund people that are actually designed to investigate anti-Semitism on college campuses.
What's there to investigate? We see it.
We see
We
it,
saw
but
it.
just
Did you watch television? Did you see what happened at Columbia?
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it was clear to me that the administration at Columbia and most members of the faculty believed passionately in diversity, equity, inclusion, and the right to hurt Jews. That's what I saw. Isn't that what you saw?
I saw
Isn't that what you saw?
protesters against the war in Gaza and them using some anti-Semitic slogans and thoughts. I would say, however, that it's hard. I would say,
isn't that
however,
what you're telling me?
that it's
That's not what you
difficult
saw.
For
You're
the federal
now don't
government
get
to
off the
invest-
subject
No, I'm
on me
not.
now.
I'm
You're telling me that's
difficult.
not what you saw.
I'm telling you that it is difficult for the federal government to adequately address the issue of anti-Semitism.
Are you telling
without
me
appropriate
the
resources.
Columbia administration and the faculty was supportive of the Jewish community?
I think that they are
You
trying
need to
find
stop
ways
dipping into your ketamine stash.
into what? Excuse me?
Now, that if we're going to solve this problem, we need to talk about it.
I'm
And
happy
it
to
wasn't
talk
just
about
at Columbia. It was at Berkeley. It was at UCLA. It was at Barnard. And Columbia has a history of discriminating against Jewish people. They used to refuse to let Jewish students come to their university. Now, you can try to bubble wrap this, but that's what I saw. If you want to stop a lot of the anti-Semitism, maybe we need to stop teaching kids to be anti-Semitic.
Sir, I would relish that opportunity.
Let me ask you a question, Ms. Kohab. Did I say that right?
Kohav.
Do you think it's possible to feel compassion for the Palestinian people without hating Jews?
Absolutely.
Would you elaborate on that? Because it looks to me like many of our Ivy League universities, they weren't the only ones. Some universities handled it well. Vanderbilt, University of Chicago, Tulane. But it looks like the administration was teaching kids you got to pick a side. Mm-hmm. You either have to hate Jews or you have to be for Hamas. You can't there's no middle ground. Tell me what what you saw. You've written a book about it. Maybe Mr. Rockland ought to read it.
Just because we are testifying, I wrote a chapter in the anthology Young Zionist Voices about what's happening on college campuses, and my book is coming soon, so look out for that.
Good plug, but
So let me answer your question.
Can you feel compassion for the Palestinian people and not hate Jews?
Absolutely. I think that what I've seen on college campuses is a pushing of a Marxist framing of the way that you see the world. And this is not only in liberal studies departments. I've taken dance classes, I've taken creative writing classes, where your final project is literally called The Political is Personal. And what they're teaching you on college campuses is that the political is personal and that everything should be personalized. And there's a global north, a global south, a global right, and a global wrong. And the issue with college campuses and what's happening right now in the United States is that we're allowing ideology to drive violence. A society that says that you can commit violent acts based on your ideology because your ideology is correct is a society that's eroding, and that's what I see on college campuses. Now, you asked if I could feel Palestinian peoplehood, right? If I could feel compassion for the Palestinian people. Absolutely. And every night when I go to bed, yes, I pray for the Jewish people, but I also pray for the Palestinian people, for God to send them leaders that actually care more about their safety. Leaders that put their people's safety in order to propel an ideology at risk aren't leaders. If you look at Hamas, they tout what happened after October 7th up until this day as a victory. How can you lie in rubble after thousands of your people have died and call that a victory? So what I see that has to happen on college campuses is de-radicalization. Until you admit that there's a radical ideology happening on a college campus, you cannot fight it. You cannot fight it.
Senator Ronald, hey, I know there's a lot of strong feelings in here. We all have them, but each member only has 5 minutes, and it just takes time away from their 5 minutes if you really want to get all these facts out. Ms. Hirano.
So Kennedy starts with a simple question. Has anti-Semitism gotten worse? And immediately, one of the witnesses blames, who else? Donald Trump. Yep. According to this person, anti-Semitism is worse today because Trump platformed white supremacists and neo-Nazis. Kennedy's reaction? Priceless. Are you telling me Trump is responsible for the rise in anti-Semitism? The witness tries to backpedal but ultimately sticks to their argument. Yes, anti-Semitism increased under Trump. Here's the problem. Anti-Semitism didn't magically disappear under Biden. In fact, it's gotten worse, especially on college campuses. So what's really going on? Well, that brings us to Columbia University. Kennedy then turns his sights on Columbia University, and this is where things get ugly. He points out something that nobody wants to say out loud. Columbia and other elite universities love to preach diversity, equity, and inclusion, except when it comes to Jewish students. What's there to investigate? We see the anti-Semitism happening. And he's right. We've seen the massive protests on these campuses. We've seen students openly chanting anti-Semitic slogans. We've seen Jewish students afraid to go to class. And yet, when Kennedy presses this witness on whether Columbia's administration actually supports the Jewish community, what do we get? Excuses, deflection, weak answers. But Kennedy isn't buying it, and neither should we. If you agree that universities are failing Jewish students, comment, hold them accountable down below. At this point, we're past the denial phase. We know anti-Semitism is happening. We know these universities are complicit. But here's the real question. How did we get here? One witness gives a chilling answer. Universities aren't just failing to stop anti-Semitism. They're actively radicalizing students. And the way they do it, a Marxist ideological framework that forces students into binary thinking. Everything is framed as oppressor versus oppressed, good versus evil. And if you don't pick the right side, you're the enemy. So what happens? Students are being taught to hate. Hate their country. Hate certain ethnic groups. Hate anything that doesn't fit the narrative. This isn't education, it's indoctrination. If you believe our education system is being used to push radical ideologies, share this video. Let's get the truth out there. Then the conversation shifts. And this is where things take a dark turn. Kennedy asks, is it possible to support the Palestinian people without hating Jews? And the answer? Absolutely. One of the witnesses passionately states, I pray for the Jewish people and the Palestinian people. I pray for God to send them leaders who actually care about their safety. That's a key distinction because true leadership puts the safety of its people first. And that's where the discussion takes a massive turn. One witness drops a truth bomb about Hamas that nobody in the mainstream media wants to talk about. How can you lie in rubble after thousands of your people have died and call that a victory? Boom. See, here's what people don't get. Hamas doesn't care about Palestinian lives. They are actively celebrating what happened on October 7th. They want chaos. They want destruction. And worst of all, they want to radicalize students in the West to support them. And guess what? It's working. That's why anti-Semitism is on the rise. That's why so many college students are suddenly chanting Hamas talking points. And that's why Kennedy's message is so important. Kennedy wraps this up with a brutal truth bomb. If we want to stop anti-Semitism, we need to stop teaching kids to hate Jews. It's not complicated, but it is inconvenient for these universities that have spent years radicalizing students. So here's the bottom line. Colleges aren't just ignoring anti-Semitism. They're helping it grow. We don't have a free speech problem. We have a moral failure problem. If you agree that these universities need to be held accountable, hit that like button right now. If you're tired of the hypocrisy, share this video with someone who needs to see it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Because we're not stopping. More truth, more breakdowns, and more accountability coming soon.